and you come down to their level and then bring them up. The other hadith, Ibn Abbas said, أنه رأى رجلا انتفض لما سمع حديثا عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في الصفات. استنكارا لذلك، فقال: ما فرق هؤلاء يجدون رقة عند محكمه ويهلكون عند متشابهه. Ibn Abbas said, so a man springing to his feet in disapproval of the statement when he heard the hadith from the Prophet ﷺ about the divine attributes. Then he, Ibn Abbas, said, what type of fear is this of these people? They find in entirely clear ayat that which they fear, and brought to ruin by those ayat which are not entirely clear. Here, Ibn Abbas is saying what? You know, the ayat are muhkamat and mutashabihat. The muhkamat are the ayat that are clear, you understand them. Some ayat are unequivocal. They are equivocal. They are not clear. The meaning is not clear. It means that you need to take other ayat together to understand. Ibn Abbas, he mentioned hadith about the sifat, the attributes of Allah. You understand? Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends every night. So one man sitting, he shivers. How come such thing happens? Allah comes down? What's wrong with you? He says he descends. Should you believe him or not? Allah talks to you, tells you, this is what I do. You have to say, I believe what you say. Not that you put your own interpretation. Allah describes himself. So whatever Allah said about himself, you accept it. Because he knows himself than you, right? And whatever the Prophet ﷺ said about his Lord, he knows his Lord better than anyone. And we understand all these attributes of Allah in the light of the ayah, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. Nothing is like Allah. Whatever comes to your imagination, Allah is not like that. And that's the end of it. So when you are reading in the Quran, the ayat that talks about the attributes of Allah, you say, yes, O Allah, I believe in whatever you say. And I know that what comes to my mind, you are not like that. But I believe in what you said. Yeah? Are you following? I'll give you something. No two things exist without having similarity. Any two things, you will find similarity between them. You know one thing? There is a relation, there is similarity between me and this table. This table has weight, I have weight. This table occupies space, I occupy space. This table, if I throw it over you, it will be governed by the law of gravity. It will be accelerated by the law of gravity. The same thing will happen to me if you throw me. How many aspects or similarities? 3, right? Between me and the table. Did I become a table? No. So any two things, you will find similarity between them. Allah exists and you exist, right? Is your existence like Allah? Allah hears and you hear. Is your hearing like the hearing of Allah? You see, Allah sees. Is your sight like Allah? You are alive, Allah is alive. Is your life like Allah's life? لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. That's why Imam Shafi'i said, those who say, do not accept the sifat, just argue with them like this. Tell him, Allah exists, Imam Shafi'i said. Anyone denies the sifat, the attributes, like the Mu'tazila and the Jahmiyyah, deviant sects, never mind about that. He said, ask them, does Allah exist or doesn't He? This is how you ask them. If he said He doesn't, then he becomes what? Kafir. If he says He exists, tell him also I exist. So according to your argument, there should not be anything, any attribute that is similar to the attribute of a human being, or a human being can have, should not have. So now Allah exists and you exist. Either you have to say Allah doesn't exist, or I don't exist, but I exist. Or to say, but your existence, it's not like His. And this then, you have to apply it for every attribute of Allah. Every attribute of Allah, you have to apply this. His sight, not like His sight. His hearing, not like your hearing. Are you following? For instance, what is common, only you find the name. The name is common, but the reality is different. For instance, you say the word sariya, fast. The car is fast. The train is fast. The aeroplane is fast. The rocket is fast, right? But is the speed of each one the same? No. Take the word hand. My hand. The hand of the door. The hand of the bag. Are they the same? The hand of the animal. Are they the same? Though the name is common, but the reality is, you can see the difference among the creation of Allah. Why when it comes to Allah, you don't understand? There's something wrong with your mind. You have the problem. Because your problem, when you read the sifat and the attributes of Allah, you start to imagine. That is your problem. You have to say to your mind, hey, respect yourself. Allah is beyond your imagination. You see now, our sisters behind this curtain. I cannot imagine them. I cannot. But I know they are there. My mind cannot tell me who's behind this. Cannot. My mind is incapable to tell me who's behind this curtain. Are you following? So then how you expect your mind to tell you who's behind the whole creation? If you are in this room and the door is closed, and someone is knocking, right? All of us will agree that somebody at the door. But the moment we start to imagine, do you think we'll agree who's at the door? No. Someone will say, a man, a woman, boy, girl, right? Your mind cannot tell you who's at the door. So what is the alternative to ask, who is it? What do you want? Tell me. Don't describe him. You tell him, you are a man. You say, no, I'm not. You are tall. No, I'm not. So if you respect your intellect, you have to say, who is it? What do you want? And you have to accept what he says about himself. Do you know what I'm saying? So Allah told us about Himself, that these are my attributes. These are my attributes. We say, we accept that, O Allah, and we know that you are beyond our imagination, and we know there is nothing like you. There is nothing like you. And I conclude also that the imagination itself also is limited. You know this? Even the imagination is limited. Because you cannot imagine something that you did not see. Can you imagine the Jannah now? Can you imagine the rivers in Jannah? Close your eyes and imagine. Close for a while. What are the rivers you see now? What are they? Nile? Mississippi? Only the rivers that you have seen, right? You cannot imagine something you have never seen. Try to imagine the palaces of the Jannah. What picture comes to your mind? The palaces you have seen, right? Because the human imagination springs from our observations. So you cannot imagine something that you did not see. That's why we cannot imagine the Jannah, because we didn't see it. But the imagination is a gift from Allah to supplement and complement the deficiency of the sight, the deficiency of the five senses. Can you see Mecca? But you can imagine Mecca. Can you see your house now? But you can imagine it.